안녕하십니까.
Good afternoon.
재난복원력 세미나
I am a
제3회
Master
국제재난복원력
of Ceremony
세미나에
for the
환영합니다.
opening session. Welcome all of you to the third International Disaster Resilience Seminar. I am Sunny Kim, head of Asia Pacific Disaster Resilience Center. Thank you very much for participating to come to this seminar. APDRC was founded by Korean Red Cross and International Federation of Red Cross and Red Crescent Societies, IFRC, in 2016, and since then the center has been the only IFRC reference center in the Asia-Pacific region. To build capacities for disaster risk reduction and resilience of national societies in the region, we have carried out diverse activities. Allow me now to declare the opening session of the third International Disaster Resilience Seminar, co-hosted by Korean Red Cross, IFRC, UNDRR, Shin, KCOC Climate Change Center, and organized by APDRC. Open. To prevent transmission of COVID-19, in compliance of social distancing measure, general audience is only able to join us online except the speakers. This seminar will be live broadcast through Zoom platform, and the Korean-English simultaneous interpretations will be available. For those who want to listen in either English or Korean, please select the language of your choice. Now, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, we're going to invite President Hee-Young of Korean Red Cross for opening remarks.
네, 여러분 안녕하십니까?
Greetings to everyone. I am Shin Hee-Young, President of Korean Red Cross. Today, together with International Federation of Red Cross Society, UN Office for Disaster Risk Reduction, and Korean NGO Council for Overseas Development Cooperation, Korean Society of Hazard Mitigation and Climate Change Center, we are hosting the third International Forum on the Disaster Resilience. We are very happy to have it. And thank you everyone for attending this event out of your busy schedule. So many people have put their best efforts to host this event. So my special thanks goes to International Federation of Red Cross Society, Asia Pacific Region Headquarters General Manager Alexander Matheou, UN Office Disaster and Risk Assessment Director Sanjaya Bhatia, and KCOC President Jee-chul, and Korean Society for Hazard Mitigation President Yoon, Giyong, and Climate Change Center Director Young. And we have the former UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon as a keynote speaker, so his participation will make this event all the more meaningful. I'd like to express my sincere appreciation to Mr. Ban Ki-moon for his time. And this seminar is now being held in conjunction with the Planet Red online conference hosted by Seoul Ferino Academy of the IFRC. It is my pleasure to meet all the participants on that online. The COVID-19 swept the world in 2020 and 2021. During the same period of time, we witnessed unprecedented heat wave, wildfire, drought, flooding, and many other extreme weather conditions and diverse types of crises and disasters. According to a report released by the UN University early September this year, these types of crises and disasters appeared every corner of the world are actually interconnected, and behind the scene, climate change caused by global warming and insufficient disaster management are there. This is the first year of a Paris Agreement implementation. On the occasion, many countries, including Korea, have declared carbon neutrality. However, as the IPCC Working Group 1 reports of last August showed that even if we achieve the greenhouse gas reduction target, it is impossible to completely eliminate the risk of disasters caused by climate change and the vulnerability of the local communities. What is disappointing is that the impact of climate change is disproportionately greater in developing countries with a high vulnerability than developed worlds. In addition to achieving net zero, it is paramount to carry out activities to remove risk factors and strengthen resilience to reduce the vulnerabilities of the local communities. So that is why we have to put more attention and importance on the role of humanitarian agencies like Red Cross. International Federation of Red Cross Society, including Korean Red Cross, recognizes the importance of the role and cooperation of humanitarian organizations. So we have led the preparation of the Climate and Environmental Charter for humanitarian organizations this year, urging the interest and participation of activists. Currently, we have more than 120 participating institutions on that. And the theme of this year's International Forum on Disaster Risk Reduction is strengthening international cooperation with the developing countries through sustainable support to build a safe and resilient society. This emphasizes once again that the various crises we face are not just the individual or national problems, but a community problem that must be solved together. So individuals, organizations, and central government should work together. And this seminar that we are having today will be a chance to discuss the challenges ahead and how to bring about solidarity and cooperation to strengthen resilience in the age of climate change. In addition, we will listen to many actual cases of cooperation carried out by domestic and international organizations and learn from each other. I hope this forum will be a great chance to recognize the importance of resilience to lower the vulnerability and find a way to strengthen our solidarity and cooperation further in the future. Thank you very much.
네, 회장님 감사드립니다.
Thank you for your message.
다음은
Now, I'd like to invite Mr. Yoon Giyong, Korea Society of Hazard Mitigation, for his remarks.
안녕하십니까.
Hello, everyone.
한국방재학회장
I am Yoon Giyong, President of Korean Society of Hazard Mitigation. First of all, congratulations on the third International Forum on Disaster Resilience. Under the COVID-19, we suffer from that ongoing pandemic. It is not easy to share the same physical space, but we are having this event hybrid by inviting participants on and offline, so I believe it is very meaningful. And President Shin, Hee-Young, Korean Red Cross, thank you for your efforts. And the Climate Change Center President Youngsook and Director Manager Sanjaya Bhatia of UNDRR, and Mr. Alexandra Matheou, and KCOC, Mr. Jee-chul, and President Francesca Loca of IFRC. Thank you for your efforts for organizing this event. And we have a special keynote speaker of Secretary General of UN, Ban Ki-moon. We have a high expectation for your keynote speech. Thank you for your contribution. And we have many speakers who are going to share their cases and experience. In advance, I thank you all your contribution. Climate change causes abnormal weather conditions like wildfire, flooding, and droughts. And on top of that, outdated infrastructure causes our life and our financial resources. For sustainable development for human beings, the disaster has become larger and complex, so we need to build our capacity to respond better to this kind of unprecedented disasters at the individual and society level. So I hope this seminar will be a great chance to share the best practices of each different countries and to strengthen the resilience of every different country. Last but not least, I'd like to express my sincere appreciation to the staff of APDRC. Thank you very much.
회장님 감사합니다.
Thank you for your wonderful remarks.
네, 다음은
I'd like to
기후변화센터
invite
이사장님이자 전
Director
환경부
of Climate Change Center and former Minister of Environment, Youngsook. She will deliver us the congratulatory speech. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I am Director Youngsook of Climate Change Center. Welcome to the third International Forum on Disaster Resilience. We sincerely welcome all of you. And for hosting and organizing this event, President Hee-Young, Korean Red Cross, and his staff, thank you for your hard work. And out of their busy schedule, we have special speakers. We have former UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon and President Yoon Giyong of Korean Society of Hazard Mitigation. Thank you for your contribution. Because of COVID-19, we can invite all the speakers. So some of the speakers join us online. First of all, thank you, Mr. Sanjaya Bhatia, UNDRR, and the head of IFRC Asia Pacific region, Alexander Matheou, and Mr. Jee-chul, the president of KCOC. Thank you for your participation. Last but not least, I welcome all of you who are joining us on and offline. We are suffering from not only from the climate change, but also the ongoing COVID-19. The International Energy Agency released a report last March, and the report said that the global CO2 emission of last year was dropped as much as 14.5%. However, the CO2 emissions has been on the rise. So as the end of last year, the emission exceeded that of 2019. And Davos Forum 2020 pointed out climate crisis as the biggest threat facing human beings. But the early of this year, Davos Forum focused on failure to respond to climate change and extreme weather conditions and environmental degradation because of human activities are some of the long-term risks that threaten the lives and safety of human beings. And many research centers under the universities of California said that we are hitting record high of the CO2 concentration, which is 419 ppm in 4.5 million years. As a result, we witnessed abnormal weather conditions and natural disasters that are caused and triggered by climate change, and the frequency and the scale of them are increasing, and it has a fundamental impact on our society. I think many of you have listened to these kind of news on the news outlet. There are wildfires every year in California, and there is cold waves in Texas and some wildfires in the European countries. There are so many cases we suffer. And IPCC released a report this year, and that gives us a glimmer scenes for the future. And the sixth report was released last August, and the temperature will go 1.5 degrees Celsius, but timing will come 10 years earlier than we expected previously. If the temperature of the globe is going by 1.5 degrees Celsius or higher, then every corner of the world will suffer from more frequent and serious climate crises like drought, flooding, and many others. We have agreed on the Paris agreements for the climate change. And when it comes to climate change, every country on the world should be responsible for that. But the natural disaster do not discriminate, and it will be worsened in the future. But the damages on the least developed countries will be greater, and their damage on the physical and the financial damages will be much higher than that on the developed countries. So this seminar that we are having today is very timely and important. And this will be a great chance to think about how the climate change have an impact on the society. And we will discuss about the vulnerability at the social level. International community, central governments, and civic society should work together. And I hope this seminar will be a great chance to come up with better solutions to deepen the network and cooperation. And I hope these seminars and the discussion we will have today will make an actual contribution to the resilience of a climate disaster. I wish you the very best. Thank you very much.
네, 이사장님 감사합니다.
Well, thank you very much, Chairperson.
다음은
Next,
지금 막 반기문 총장님 들어오셔서요.
as we have His Excellency Mr. Ban Ki-moon here,
아태 지역 본부의 알렉산더 마테우
now
본부장님의
we're going to
환영사를 비디오로
invite
전해드리도록 하겠습니다.
Mr. Alexander Matheou, the IFRC Regional Director for Asia Pacific, for his welcoming remarks
Good
on
morning.
his
My
video.
name is Alexander Matheou. I am the IFRC Regional Director for Asia Pacific, and I'm delighted to record this message for you now. I wish I could be with you, but at very least, I'm looking forward to hearing about your ideas and your recommendations. A big thank you to the Asia Pacific Disaster Resilience Center. It's a great initiative to have this center, and clearly we need you now more than ever. I've just been doing a tour of the national societies in South Asia, and right now the pandemic is still very much at the forefront of people's minds. We're still going to live with that for a while as one of the major humanitarian challenges of our times. During that tour, I visited Afghanistan. I was there last week. Clearly that context is going to be an absolute priority to us from a humanitarian perspective for the foreseeable future. But looming above the threat of the pandemic and looming above major national crises such as we're seeing in Afghanistan is of course the climate threat, the one big issue that is certainly going to change all of our lives, change the way we live, and present a whole new staggering range of humanitarian risks, which we, as the biggest humanitarian network in the world, will surely engage with. We're already engaging with them. You know, we've been talking about climate change for some time now in the IFRC, and we've done quite well on the humanitarian diplomacy, I think. But at a programmatic level, forgive me for saying this, but it feels like we are dabbling. We've done a few livelihood projects, a few climate adaptation projects. We've done some very interesting work on forecast-based financing, but we haven't really found our focus and our confidence to say exactly how we're going to contribute. And it's not surprising because, of course, climate change is so all-encompassing. It has so many drivers and so many impacts that it is quite difficult for an organization, even one as big as ours, to say exactly how we will engage on those range of issues. But unless we do find our niche, and unless we're confident about it, then I'm afraid we are destined just to stay dabbling on the periphery, doing a few projects here and there, but never really building up the traction or the investment to go to scale and reach many more people who will be affected by these humanitarian risks of climate change. And I think, if I can say so, that the answer actually is right in front of us, and we just need to be a bit more confident about articulating it. We're going to be living through an era of ever more extreme weather events. In the face of those events, we want to be the first community-based responder to every natural and man-made disaster in the world. To do that well, of course, we will be part of alliances with other organizations involved in a whole range of humanitarian climate issues. But our niche is to be that first responder, help communities anticipate, prepare for, adapt, respond, adapt, recover. To do that well, there's a whole range of things we need to do to make that strategy work. We need the right financing mechanisms. We need our DREF to be really well funded, and it's great to see the IFRC leadership really pushing for that, to have a much larger DREF which we can all use to respond to these ever more frequent extreme weather events. We need to make sure that the national fundraising can mobilize behind these disasters. We need to make sure we've got the skills we need to deliver well against these humanitarian risks. We need to be able to forecast them so that we can respond quickly, both financially and helping communities prepare, adapt, and respond and recover. We need to make sure we are really all excellent at cash-based assistance so we can support people as quickly as possible. We need to make sure the quality of our responses is strong by making sure that we've got good protection, gender and inclusion approaches and community engagement and accountability built into our interventions. We need to make sure we're all skilled in these things so that we can be the best we possibly can be in the face of these humanitarian risks. But recognizing that threat is looming above us, and these extreme weather events will be ever more frequent, and we want to be able to be the first community-based responder, and by doing that collectively, the leading humanitarian organization responding to the humanitarian risks of climate change. If we say that with confidence, and we know the skills that we need to build to deliver on that well, and we invest in those skills, then I'm sure we can, as much as possible, because all of our efforts, of course, are small compared to the challenge, but as much as possible, we can be ready to play a meaningful role. And I think the discussions you're going to have in the next couple of days, the role of the centre, all of these are really important. So I wish you the very best of luck. Really, I am looking forward to hearing your ideas and your recommendations, and let's work together. We're all in this together. Thank you very much.
네, 감사합니다.
Well, thank you very
알렉산더
much.
본부장님이
That was
지금
the
출장 중이어서
director of
호텔에서 그 녹화를 해서
IFRC,
양해를 좀
Mr. Alexander Matheou.
부탁드린다고
As he is on his bridge trip, he recorded his welcome
이번에는
remarks at our hotel.
UNDRR
Please kindly understand that.
훈련
Now,
연수원의 산자야
we're going
박태아
to
소장님의
invite
축사를 듣도록
Head of
하겠습니다.
UNDRR, Onyageti, Mr. Sanjaya Bhatia, for the welcoming remarks.
Welcome to the third International Disaster Resilience Seminar. Let me take this opportunity to congratulate you on this organization of such an important seminar on the International Disaster Risk Reduction Day, which this year focuses on international cooperation to help developing countries. So this seminar is very timely, and we need to understand how difficult the future might be with climate impacts affecting more and more people around the world. But at the same time, it's the poorest and the most vulnerable who are hit hardest. Just in the last decade, the lives and livelihoods of 3.9 billion people were affected by climate-related disasters. Small island developing states lost up to $153 billion worth of economic development due to weather and climate and water-related hazards since 1970. That's a very big number. And 1.4 million people in least developed countries lost their lives due to weather and climate-related hazards. It is estimated that more than 143 million people could be forced to internally migrate by 2050 due to climate hazards. So this emphasizes the point that it is very important for all of us to work together to tackle the challenges of the climate crisis, but at the same time to build resilience and reduce disaster risks so that we can have a safer planet and a safer life for the people of this planet. Thank you.
네,
Well,
마지막으로
last but not least, we're going to invite President Jee-chul of KCOC for the welcoming remarks.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Jee-chul, President of KCOC. Under the theme of climate change and disaster resilience, we're having this International Disaster Forum. Congratulations. Climate change has been brought about disasters in every part of the world. To overcome the disasters wisely and achieve sustainable development, no one single organization, individual, or a country can address them. Rather, these are the severe challenges that require our solidarity. Therefore, to overcome climate change-led disasters and achieve sustainable development, the international NGOs should come up with concrete practical plans. In this light, I hope today's forum will be an opportunity to offer wisdom and insights to us. I thank those who made efforts for putting this event together. Thank you.